So this rather impressive cutlass is one of the great treasures here at the Independent Seaport Museum. This month we're showcasing a number of them that tell the story of the founding of the U.S. Navy 250 years ago. Here at the Seaport Museum in beautiful downtown Philadelphia, we have an amazing collection of objects that chronicle the history of the U.S. Navy as it relates to Philadelphia. One of my favorites is this model 1860 cutlass from our collection. It's an American or Union sword of the Civil War period. Most of these were made by the Ames Manufacturing Company. And you can see it's not very long in length. The thought always being that these were used for boarding other vessels, and so they were kept short so you wouldn't get fouled up in the rigging or anything else. They were suitable for sort of close combat fighting. This was a combat sword in its day, and you could see the curve to the blade, which would enable a nice sweeping motion. You also see the fuller, sometimes mistakenly called a blood groove, which really helped with the balance of the sword. And then this massive brass cage that protected your hand when you were using it. One of the interesting things when you look at a piece like this is to sort of understand the history of the weapon since then. Since its manufacture, I should say. So one of the fascinating things is when you look at the grip, normally the grips on these swords had wire wrapping around them. However, there were stories that the wire wrapping would come loose, and the crews would describe getting fish hooked by the wire wrapping, meaning the wires would poke up and grab you and poke through your skin and hook you. So they would often take off that wire wrapping, and you can see there's where it's been removed here. When I say that we believe this is by the Ames Company, most of these were manufactured by Ames. However, at some point in the history of this sword, it was put and sort of given this new protective coating on top. And as a result, this was probably done by a collector in the 20th century, or maybe a VFW or a Legion post, or some organization, and had this as decoration, or were using it in parades, that they completely put a new surface on it. Because you can see there's some pitting on it, but for the most part it's got a very, very shiny surface that really probably reflects this later modification that was done to the sword. Still a fascinating piece of American Civil War naval history, and something you can see here at the Independent Seaport Museum in Philadelphia.